Hello everyone, just doing a very quick comparison video between the Samsung Galaxy S3 and my new phone, the OnePlus One. Before I begin, I just want to say that I've had my S3 now for about 2 years, and I really love this phone. It's a great phone. At the time of purchase, it was considered a flagship phone, and I still think it performs amazing. It takes great photos. It's got a removable battery, so you can put in a bigger battery if you want. It's got expandable storage, so if you ever feel that you're running out of room, you can always pop in another micro SD card in there. And just generally overall, I feel that it's always performed very well for me. And to be honest, I've never really felt the need to have another phone, at least just yet, until something special came along, and that's where the OnePlus One comes in. Now this phone, I'm not going to go into details about the specs on this phone, but basically it is a phone that is comparable in specs to phones like the Galaxy S5, the HTC One M8, but it only costs half the price. And that's half the price for the 64 gigabyte model, which is the one that I currently have right now. So the big deciding factor of getting a new phone for me was, I'm a sucker for a very good deal, and I believe that this phone is a tremendous deal. Just to show you the size comparison, one of the big things that I was worried about is that the handset was going to be a little too big for me. The Samsung Galaxy S3 here has a 4.8-inch screen, and the One has a 5.5-inch screen. So I was a little concerned that this might be a little too big for me. But just to show you how it is in a comparison, this is the S3 sitting on top of it. So you can see there's probably just about maybe, I don't know, I'd say just about half an inch maybe of more length. It's certainly a thicker phone in terms of width-wise. When I turn it on its side, you could see that there's not really much of a difference in terms of its actual thickness. Maybe the One is a little bit thicker, but not by much, so thickness hasn't really been much of an issue. Holding my S3, right, I can hold the S3 relatively easy here. Just gonna punch in my code. So, I can put my thumb across and really have some very decent range with like movement and whatnot. I am running CyanogenMod on my S3, so not a big deal. So when I pick up this phone too, this is how it feels in the hand. I have a little less room to play around with, but I don't think it's that big of a difference that I couldn't get used to it after using it for a week. It still feels pretty comfortable, and it's got a very nice backing on it too. Right, so it really feels comfortable to the touch. Now, as I mentioned before, I really love my S3 a lot. Why would I go over to a One? Well, like I said before, it's a great deal, this phone, right? It's got the specs comparable to the Galaxy S5 and the HTC One M8. And in different aspects, it actually exceeds it. What I've done here, I'm just going to open this up, is I've actually loaded Antutu Benchmark on my One just to see how well it performs in specs. And this is basically a program that tests the hardware of your phone. And if you look at the One score, right, it's 38,785, right? That's a very good score. In fact, this is actually a ranking of all the other phones that it compares to. And as you can see, it actually beats the HTC One M8, the Samsung Galaxy S5. And if I scroll to the very bottom, right, the second last one is the Galaxy S3. So it actually, basically doubles in terms of hardware performance. I really like this phone. The only knock that I can think of against this phone right now is the availability of this phone. It's actually very hard to get this phone because they currently are implementing an invite system on this phone. So unless you get an actual invite from the company OnePlus, you can't really purchase this phone. So I think the exclusivity factor of being able to get an invite was something that might have also influenced my decision on getting the phone as well. Just to give you an example of how much more it cost, like this phone, it cost 350 US dollars, and that's for the 64 gigabyte model. Now, I live in Canada, so after express shipping costs, because I could only get the express shipping option, and doing the conversion, it worked out to $418 Canadian to get the OnePlus. I did also have to pay a duty fee on top of that, so that was like about 57 bucks. So at the end of it all, the total amount for this phone was 480 bucks. Now, that might seem like a lot of money, but when you compare it to a phone like the Galaxy S5 or the HTC One M8, those phones cost like $700 US, and that's just for the 16 gigabyte model. So naturally, you're going to probably want to get some more storage. Those phones do offer expandable storage options as well as removable batteries as well, and you're going to be looking at about maybe 800 plus tax after you factor in all of the customizing options for that particular phone. But and when you factor that the cost of this phone into that, this is still one hell of a deal. So that was ultimately the deciding factor for me. I've had this phone only for a day. The battery life on it seems to be pretty impressive, actually. And it just feels good. It does everything that I've wanted to do so far pretty well. I've been taking a couple of pictures with it, and the camera looks really, really nice and everything. So overall, I'm pretty happy with purchasing the One. And I would highly recommend, if anyone has an opportunity to purchase the One, they should go ahead and do it. Part of the other reason for that, you could still play around with it for about a week. If you don't like it, then you could always sell it on Kijiji or Craigslist and whatnot. And from what I've seen comparing prices of people actually selling the OnePlus on Kijiji, they're actually making a profit off of it. It's not uncommon to see the phone basically selling on there for about 550 bucks. So you're even if you don't get 550 bucks for it, there's a very good chance that you will regain the total cost of the phone that you paid for, which is about 480 bucks in my case. So yeah, that's basically it. Quick comparison between the Samsung Galaxy S3 and the OnePlus One. If you have the ability to get it, by all means, I would highly recommend doing so.